Okay, this was the second single from Make It Big. In the UK and in New Zealand, in Australia, parts of Europe, it was credited as George Michael. In the
Hmm.
US, where you are met, it was Wham featuring George Michael.
Yeah.
There's great debate over the years if this is a George Michael track or is it a Wham track?
To me, it's a Wham track because of a couple of reasons. One, that's how it was built in America. Two, it's on a Wham album. Like to me, that's the arbiter right there. And I know Andrew isn't in the video. I know, but it's I know that he has writing credit on it. They worked on it when they were younger. It's a Wham song to me. I think it's as much as I love Everything She Wants, probably more than all the rest, the truth is that Careless Whisper is probably the quintessential Wham song. But now in the new iteration, and the Careless Whisper reissue just came out last month. It's kind of being reimaged now as a fully just George Michael single, and I don't think that's necessarily fair. It's not unfair. It's not fair to say, but it's to me, it's a Wham song. Simply put, it's a Wham song.
And he wrote this
Mhm.
pre-Fantastic
Yep.
as a kid, pretty much. And when you listen to the lyrics, and Andrew was working on the track with him, he had I think the chord progressions in the song, and they sort of came together and they worked on the track. The original demo was recorded by local producer Paul Mex in January 1982,
Mhm.
along with Wham Rap. They done a demo in Andrew's parents' front room for like £20. A second demo was done in March that year with a band and sax, etc. And they also done demos for Club Tropicana and Wham Rap. That original demo was in Andrew's parents' living room, was part of
Mhm.
last year's documentary on Netflix. So let's just take a listen to that demo of Careless Whisper.
Yob came round to my house one evening and I'd been working on a chord progression that I really liked. It was amazing because he said, I've got a melody, it fits over that chord progression perfectly.
We'd come up with roughly the same chord pattern.
As I fall once more, I smell the varnish of this dance floor to the heart and mind.
We finished it together, put together very slowly at home or on the bus, just add a little bit day by day.
Pain is all you'll find, and I'm never gonna dance again. Guilty feet have got no rhythm, and it's easy to pretend, but I know I'm not a fool.
I remember when it was finished one day when we were bunking off school, I said to him, I don't know who'll do it and I don't know whether I'll be good enough to sing it. That is a #1 song.
So that is a bit of a demo, as we heard last year on the Netflix special. The two lines are different on the demo. Smelling the
Right.
vibes on the dance floor. I'm glad he removed that line.
You don't get a varnish reference in pop music too often. That
Yeah.
wasn't. But I think that if you see that the bones are there, right, and that's in
Oh,
1982, and that's an
bones were
18-year
there.
old kid. That's
Yeah.
an 18-year-old child. I've got two sons. I've got a 20-year-old in this room over here. I got an 18-year-old in this room over here. He is 18 and a half as of this month. Okay. And George was 18 and a half when he wrote that. George was crafting one of the most iconic songs of all time. My 18 and a half year old makes baby oil jokes about Puff Daddy. So it's amazing that he could do these things and understood, even then understood, this is on our demo. This is something bigger, better. This will wait. If he really believed in it, it would have been on Fantastic. But he knew like it's not ready yet. It's not done cooking yet, right? And what I love about that is that you can hear it in the original demo. You can hear it in the Jerry Wexler version, which is god awful. You can hear it in kind of as him getting that together. And then the thing I love the most, and the story about him coming down here, which Muscle Shoals, Alabama, where Jerry Wexler had his studio, was not very far from where I live, by an hour and a half from where I live. He did what he was supposed to do. He went down there to Muscle Shoals. He worked with Jerry Wexler. That's what, that's where Aretha sang. That's where Ray Charles sang. That's what you do. And the balls that it took, the guts and the balls that it took to take that demo back home and realize that this ain't it. Like, this is not. And for a 20-year-old kid, because the pictures they show here, he's a kid. Take that back home and go, yeah, an icon did this with me, but it's not right, and it's not what I want. And to throw that away, and I know it was released in Japan.
Yeah.
It was released in Japan, but to throw it away and say, I can do better. And then not only saying that, but then achieving that so much better. And there's not a person on this earth, Jerry Wexler included, who would say that his version was better than the version that George came up with when he did his own thing. And that's the true testament of his talent and his ability and his guts and his idea of knowing exactly what he wanted, what needed to be, and then executing it. That's a hard thing to achieve.
And to have lyrics like that for someone so young, I mean, Guilty Feet Have Got No Rhythm is one of my favorite lyrics. It's such an amazing lyric. You mentioned Jerry Wexler before. Just for a bit of context, let's just take a listen to a bit of that version. I've spliced together some snippets with some clear differences from the Jerry version to the version we know.
Pain is all you find. And I'm never gonna dance again. But no, it's never gonna be that way. And I'm never gonna dance again.
So after this version came back, obviously George went back to the UK and did it himself, and that's what we know. I'm so pleased he did that because his version is just, yeah, it's
Yeah, if the
it's
Wexler version is the end all be all, if that winds up being the version that lasts, that song dies. It never makes the top 10. It dies. It just becomes a song that was a single that never went anywhere. That tinny saxophone that sounds like it's smeared in bad Vaseline and kind of out of tune. It's just bad. And it's funny, just with the production, and there's one little slight lyric difference at the very, very end. But with the production difference with the same lyrics makes the song go from forgettable to iconic. It's such a weird thing. And if you really think about, I love the part of the book that James Gavin wrote talking about the saxophone part of that song, and how George, brought in all these saxophone players trying to make that sound that he wanted to hear in his head, and they couldn't execute, and until they found the right tune. The last guy comes in and he found the right tuning and he found the right speed, and that's it. And it's something that's so if it's all those pieces don't fit in the right order at the right time, that song is if you don't execute it right, that song is kind of cheesy. I mean, it's kind of cheesy anyway. But if you don't execute that song correctly, it's very forgettable. It's as forgettable as Credit Card Baby. It really is. But when you hit it just all the right notes at all the right time, it becomes something that is immortal, that will last longer than him, longer than us. And my kids know it. Their kids will know it. It's just such an amazing story of betting on yourself, and that's what that really was. He could have taken the Jerry Wexler road and the Ray Charles road, and Aretha recorded there and said, okay, he's an icon and we'll do it that way. But he bet on himself and he said, I can do better, and then he did, and he created something that will last forever.
it's such a iconic song, and I remember getting the 7-inch of this track and just playing it nonstop because his vocals and the lyrics sort of just really sort of got me. And that's when I sort of come to realize that George was not only a great singer, but he was a great songwriter and a producer and arranger. He did everything. And that's why he's probably my male idol as far as music goes, because he's just, to think of those lyrics when you're a kid
Yeah.
is just mind-blowing. It really is. I mean, it's almost like in some ways the lyrics came to him from a other place. I don't know, it's because to have those lyrics and all, it's such a great moment in music, and that sax solo is just when you hear that, yeah.
Every decision, it's I'm not just kissing his ass to say, but every decision that he made in the process of that just worked. If you look at the video, because the video was shot to the original Wexler version, and he's got darker hair because he hadn't done the Princess Di thing yet.
Mm.
And if you watch that and it comes out after Go Go, it doesn't fit. But by having it as a flashback interspersed with the clips of him in the nightclub that's empty with the ropes
Mm.
and the hair and the suit and the earnest look in the camera, to see that and to know what that meant in terms of the time, because you're telling a story, and that's back when videos would tell stories. If he has the original video, even with the version of the song that he has now, it doesn't work. It has to be what it wound up becoming. And the cool thing I saw that was my favorite part of the Netflix documentary last year was the extra, just
Yeah,
a couple of seconds here or there of Careless Whisper. And there was one part where he's kind of walking across the stage there and kind of going to the rope. And it's maybe 5 or 6 extra seconds of the same thing you've seen a million times, but it's just a little bit more of it. And it's in HD. And he turns, looks at the camera, and it's in full, like, 1080 HD. And it's like it kind of made me like, it almost was like hard to look at to me, because it was like so something that, someone that you've loved your whole life, and he's gone, and you see him look at the camera, and it's like I almost had to look away. It was such a powerful moment for a video I've seen a million times, but there was just a few extra seconds I hadn't seen, and that blew me away. But every decision about that song along the way, from waiting, from conceptualizing, from the music, from the visual, from the location in Miami to the location in London, every decision made along the way absolutely created that whole stew of Careless Whisper being, the Wham signature, if you ask me.
Yeah, that whole Netflix footage of Careless Whisper, I had tears in my eyes watching that. I was just like, oh my God, the whole documentary was just incredible. But that moment, I was just like, oh my God, these are extra. I haven't seen this. I've seen the footage, but the way it was shot, I haven't seen that. That scene. It was just incredible. Careless Whisper was a worldwide #1, pretty much. It was absolutely huge. Over 6 million copies sold, over 1 billion streams on Spotify alone, which is just incredible. I mean, we have adult contemporary radio here, like the gold and classic hits and stuff. I hear this all the time on radio.
Yeah.
And I was,
You should. It's
yeah.
it's kind of cheesy, and I think that in his later years, George really didn't love it as much as we did, which that's okay. It's his to not love or to love. But it is a perfect, it's just a perfect encapsulation of the time and the song. It's just amazing.
And to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Careless Whisper, there is a special reissue happening, well, it happened last month, where you can get the picture disc on vinyl, the black vinyl, and gorgeous deep red colored vinyl, and the CD single. Have you got yours ordered, Matt? Did you take up that offer?
I
Or?
I did. I have mixed feelings. Of course I'm gonna buy it because of course I have to. I can't not buy it. But you know, it's kind of a money grab. It's just kind of a reissue with a really cool disc, and I bought a CD. I didn't buy the vinyl. I'm not a big vinyl guy. I don't have a record player, so I have some vinyl. I just don't have a record player. So I appreciate it for what it is. I did not. I thought that the first release on Apple, because I have Apple Music, was the sped up and the slowed down version. And if I never hear those again, I'll be fine.
Don't
Those
get
are
me
awful.
started on that. That was just, I
Those are
was thinking, what the hell's this?
I I don't
Yeah,
know if they're trying to appeal to
just
the look.
TikTok
I understand
mode.
that. Yeah, trying to appeal to the TikTok generation. I understand that. Look, everybody has bills to pay. The estate and the record company want to maximize the value of a catalog. I get the commerce of that kind of stuff. I totally understand that. But some of that stuff is, of course, I still buy it. So it is what it is. But I could do without some of that more crap that I don't think he would have been a particular fan of.
I haven't ordered the reissues because mainly because I've got everything on the disc apart from the live version, which
Yeah.
I heard on Spotify and stuff. But for me, you mentioned the estate then. If you're going to do these reissues, I think it's really important to give fans something a bit extra, to give fans
Hmm.
something a bit more special, you know. I feel that on this release, they could have added the Jerry Wexler version, for example, even though
Absolutely.
even though it's, nowhere near as fantastic as the version we know now. That would have been just a
It's
nice
part of this.
bit
It's
of
part of
the
the
song
story.
history. Yeah.
I
And
mean, I think they could have released. You make it if you want to make a true cool Careless Whisper EP. You put the original demo on there. I mean, it's been out there on
yes,
Netflix. It's like no one's heard it. You put the Wexler version. That's been on the B sides of singles. It's been out there before. You put out the regular version. You put out the extended play version. You put out a live version from Madison Square Garden. You put out a version from Rock in Rio. You've got the masters of those kind of things. You can do that, and then you go. That's a really cool vinyl with maybe 7 or 8 tracks of this thing in different variations. I go buy that in a heartbeat. I agree. Give them something extra. I'm not one of these guys who wants them to open the vault and let out all the unreleased stuff that's none of our business. I'm not that guy at all. But the things that are out there that you could perhaps bring those to a new audience. Hey, this is the version from the Faith Tour. Like, oh, really cool. Because we all have bootlegs of the Faith Tour, but you haven't actually ever seen any released pro mastered audio of that. That would be really cool. I totally agree. That's a missed opportunity.
it's a bit half cooked, my opinion. I mean, I don't know, I would have done it a bit differently if I did that. We
They
have
they've
to.
been capitalizing on the Careless Whisper thing all summer, and that's one of the things that I told you I took a little pause from my show this summer because there was a video that the estate with the state the social media team, which is the estate, was posting of Sabrina Carpenter singing "Careless Whisper," and
Oh,
I thought it was cute. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was great. Sabrina Carpenter is 23 years old. She's the
the
biggest thing in
biggest
the
rock
world
star in
right
the world.
now.
Yeah.
She's got two of the biggest songs of the summer. And there was a video of her like in her dressing room singing Careless Whisper. And she wasn't doing it for attention. And the matter of fact, the video was recorded 2 years ago. But as they've done this summer, the estate or the social media team puts out different people singing Careless Whisper. They did it with Ed Sheeran this, last month. And people are just mean about it. And they're really kind of they're and I get their heart's in the right place, but they're kind of like they're guarding this music that's meant for everybody, and well, you can't sing that, Sabrina Carpenter, you can't sing that, Ed Sheeran, or how dare you. And that just kind of got on my heart a little bit. And back in July, and you can go back and look at it, there was me going back and forth with some people on social media during that Sabrina Carpenter post, and I just thought, like, like you're missing the spirit of what this. I mean, who am I to say? I didn't know him, but I feel like I got a decent sense of him, and I just feel like, there's no reason to be hateful or to be derisive or to be dismissive of these kids who are out here singing this music. And don't forget, it's the George Michael social media team who's putting it out. So they're not trying to use George Michael for clout. They're trying to use Sabrina Carpenter for clout. So I love it. I love seeing people who were born long after his career was really on the downside. I love seeing those folks sing it. I celebrate the hell out of that. So they've done a really good job this year of trying to maximize the the visibility of Careless Whisper, but I think there could have been more. It's just kind of there. But I appreciate the fact that people are still singing these songs all these years later.